All right, all right, all right. We are back. Didn't you miss us? It is at the round table. Oh man, I get to sit with my brother from another mother.
Yes, man, it's been a while.
It has been a while. Adrian Biddle on that side.
Yes, sir.
CD on this side. And bro, I want you to make the introductions because we're missing our two sisters in crime. They're out and about doing some amazing things. Shouts out to Letice Howell and Tika Rose. Definitely appreciate them doing all that they do. But we got to man it ourselves today.
Yeah, they left us a tough road to talk.
That's all right.
We'll handle it.
We're going to handle it. We're going to handle it. And we got a special guest in here that we got to tell them about.
If you don't know this young lady, trust me, you will. It's the one, the only Liz Morris.
All right.
Sexologist.
Thank you.
Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me. That's a great introduction.
Yes. Shouts out to Tika. She just joined us. What's up,
Hey,
sis?
T.
Hello.
Alpha female in the house, live and direct. What's going on, sis? Hey, you get to be a guest on the other side. So now get your questions ready.
Please.
Because Liz is about to tell us.
Well, why don't we start off with this, Liz? What actually got you into the profession of sexologist?
Okay, so I didn't know that sexology was a thing when I was going through my undergraduate school. I thought it was more just kind of a taboo hobby that some people have, and so I was in my undergraduate school at Indiana University, and I was for sure going to be a surgeon, and I was not going to get off that path. And then I took a human sexuality course for an elective and completely fell in love with it. My professor was, if he's watching, please don't be offended, maybe like in his 70s. He was a very much older gentleman than me, and came in with a fedora and his little briefcase and a full suit and said, the second leading cause to divorce in the United States is problems in the bedroom. And my jaw dropped to the floor, and that was his opening line, and I was just enthralled with it ever since, because I thought, how can something so pleasurable and beautiful and connecting rip people apart? I was young and naive, and so I started my studies. I went into my my counselor at school and completely switched my major, and took a year off after graduating and went in to get my master's of education in human sexuality studies at Widener University, and it was just mind-blowing, and I've been loving it ever since. That's what I'm doing.
That is interesting.
So instead of coming in surgeon, cutting people open, she's going to teach you the ins and outs and intricacies of sex and things that happen behind them. I'm intrigued.
Me too. So for all the questions that you felt afraid to ask, you now have an expert up in here to get those answers.
Because you think you got the answers, but you might not.
All questions go.
Well, I know you got one, man, because we were going over the notes and reading up on Liz, and I mean, it's good. I'm not even gonna say anymore. I know you got questions, because you come prepared.
I do.
Yes, you do.
I do. And this is the blush factor right here that we were talking about on the phone, about just going out there in the deep end and just taking it to task. I got a question for you. Let's see the proper way of phrasing this. Now I heard this. Not me, I just heard it. If you're not actually pleasing your mate, satisfying them, what is the best way to actually do that? Would you add stuff? I mean, I guess switch up what you're doing, or
Are you saying like if you and your partner are maybe not on the same page in the bedroom, and partner is reporting levels of dissatisfaction. How do you spice it up?
Yes.
Communicate.
Okay.
Start that conversation. That would be the first thing that I encourage anybody with this. I won't say issue because that's life. It's gonna. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it will happen. In a healthy relationship too. You got to communicate with your partner. It's just, we are never taught to communicate with our partner, especially about sex, or intimacies, or those deep, heartfelt parts of the relationship that are not something that you share with your best friend. You know, it's hard to talk about those things, and the sex education that we have in the U.S., especially in schools, don't teach us those effective communication skills. So you got to open up the conversation, be honest, do it, you know, soberly when you're not drunk, because that can make people defensive. And if you're talking about something so vulnerable, you don't want to get defensive. And you want to be thoughtful about what you're saying. So do it, you know, maybe a glass of wine's okay, but don't take a whole bottle first. You know, so I would start there and ask questions and listen to your partner.
That's very important. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So the alpha female just chimed in.
Oh, great.
Yes, and she said communication is key. But then she has a question for Liz. What about varying libido levels? Or just jump on in there.
Right?
Yes.
That is a question. That's an excellent question. I get that question maybe more than any other question, aside from the am I normal for XYZ. This is the other question I get all the time. Because it's so common, because you're likely not going to have the same libido as your partner. What do you do about it? Communicate. And figure out why do your libido levels differ. Sometimes, you know, let's look at a heterosexual couple, man and wife. Let's just, for example's sake, take a super traditional approach. He's working a lot. She's maybe taking care of the kids a lot. What if something's going on at work for him? That's going to tank his libido. Usually, not always, but typically tanks his libido if he's, you know, uncomfortable or feeling incapable of providing for his family. Maybe her libido is higher in this case because, you know, she's got it going on in life. She's feeling on top of the world. She wants some hanky-panky. Well, he's, you know, maybe struggling a little bit at work and doesn't, you know, you got to figure out what's going on with that's making your libidos not level, and then be understanding of your partner. There's also ways to work around if that's just how it is, like your libidos are just not the same regardless of the external factors. Don't be afraid. Okay, stop me if I'm saying wrong words here, but don't be afraid to masturbate and take care of it yourself. Self-love is so important. So important. Yeah, RuPaul from RuPaul's Drag Race. If you can't love yourself, how the ain't you gonna love somebody else? So gotta take care of yourself too.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
We got okay. So Tika just sent some smiley faces and hands on that.
Okay.
Courtney Griffin, what's going on, Courtney? How you doing? Thank you for joining us tonight at the Roundtable, where tonight we have professional sexologist.
Sexologist.
Make sure we say that correctly. Sexologist.
Sexologist.
And there's nothing wrong with talking about sex.
Correct.
Because I think a lot of times that used to be back in the day. It was like the taboo. It was the hush hush.
Yes.
Don't say nothing. Keep it under wraps. You know. Now, but you know, let me ask you this question though: with society being so open right now, especially like what you see on TV, social media, and things of that nature, does that stifle sex as well at home or amongst couples? Do you think that's a hindrance, or does that affect?
Well, yes and no. I'm going to echo something I said when we were speaking, Adrian, on the phone. We are so obsessed with sex in this country, and we're also equally at the same time such prudes.
Mm.
We are, sex is being used to sell cheeseburgers and car parts and any kind of advertisement. You'll probably find scantily clad woman with, oil dripping down her or something. And same with men. But at the same time, look at our sex education in the United States. We also don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about the pleasure side. We want to talk about the preventative side. Don't have unwanted pregnancies. Don't get STIs. But what about the reason we have sex aside from procreation? It feels good, and we don't talk about that. So the question was, does it hinder anything for couples? It can, because society takes such a toll on your overall health and well-being. I mean, like, body image is the easiest example I can grab out of the air, with media and whatnot. There are so many issues with eating disorders and body image, and it doesn't stop once you get under your underwear. That continues. And even, like in movies, and porn is a huge thing. Because we don't talk about it in school in a healthy manner about pleasure and the feel-good side of things, we get all of our messages from porn and movies, and so we are stuck in these stereotypes and stigmas. So yeah, it can definitely hinder what's going on in the bedroom.
Daryl Cook, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining us tonight at the Roundtable, where we have professional sexologist Liz Marlers. Did I say it right?
Liz Mallers.
Mallers here, and you guys, I know y'all got questions, so don't be scared. Do not be scared. Right now, we have Courtney and Tika having a sidebar conversation, which is pretty cool, and I love that. Oh, Keith Barnwell, what's going on, brother?
Just the person I was looking for.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. So it looks like they're having these little combos about learning to love. I like that. Very good. Tika just said, porn is a horrible teacher for some. Can send the wrong information.
What do you let's touch on that. Let's touch on that. How healthy? Again, this is not me. This is just a disclaimer. But just out of curiosity, how healthy is watching porn, or could that possibly hinder your relationship in the bedroom?
Yes, that is. I want to tread lightly on this one.
Okay.
I'm an advocate of porn. I think it's great. I think sex work is so important. It's just like any other kind of work. I wish we would pay for our porn so that they would get paid. But porn is definitely edited and made to cater to a very specific audience, which is the guy. The white guy, quite honestly, and it leaves out a lot of teachable moments. It leaves out a lot of diversity, not only with people but with actions and likes and dislikes, and it can teach a very skewed version of what sex could be and should be, especially to the kids who are trying to learn themselves. And so for the couples, porn is it can be a negative teacher. But that said, there's also great porn out there that is done, like I said, I'm treading lightly here. There's great porn out there that caters to people of all orientations and ethnicities and likes and dislikes and fetishes and all that. So it can be good.
So good and bad.
It can be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good and bad. Okay, so Tika said I didn't say I don't watch it though. Okay, thank you, Tika.
Yeah.
Shouts out Daryl Perry. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Mr. Perry.
We here at the round table. We are talking about sex, and it seems as though the ladies are really. I mean, of course, we have a professional here, but it looks like the ladies are really chiming in. So, brothers, guys, gentlemen, any questions?
What do you want to
What do you want to know? I mean, we're bringing a professional here to answer all your questions. This is your time in which you can learn from the master and then go back, and your wife, girlfriend, significant other will be amazed that you have garnered this wisdom in less than a day. Right here.
Ask me something to go impress your friends with later.
Exactly.
In conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, that chicken right now. Though they're watching, but nobody. Okay, so Keith said, I'm about to chime in.
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Okay, we'll wait, Keith.
Come on, Keith.
Come on.
Come on.
The door is open. Won't you come on in?
Well, while Keith is talking, let me ask you this. Now, being a sexologist, well, let me ask you this. Are you in a relationship currently?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, how does that play in with your relationship?
Okay. That's a good question. Yes. Okay. So I've been with him for 6 years now. And I'm trying to remember. I think we met while I was in school.
Okay.
So I think I had already made the transition from the surgeon idea to wanting to be a sexuality educator, sexologist. So I think that had already been established. And our initial conversation, he was just kind of like, okay, all right, I see you. What does that mean, really? But after all the questions had been asked, the initial questions, a lot of people ask about my personal sex life with that, and if it's affected anything. I won't speak for him, but I have been way more conscientious of sex aside, the actual act of it aside, conscientious of my intimacy with him in the relationship, like verbal intimacy. Like, am I being clear about my wants and needs? Am I asking him and giving him the space that he needs? People ask me all the time about if that affects my sex, and sexuality is just so beyond the sex itself. I mean, it includes it, but dang, it's a wide umbrella. So, it's not just about the sex, but, I'm happy.
All right.
That would be rather interesting. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's almost as though, well, like, okay, they say doctors are their worst patients.
Yes.
So
well, there's some of that too. I definitely overanalyze.
Okay.
I will think about a fight we had or something, or maybe a sexual encounter we had, and I'll maybe do some overanalyzing and ask myself too many questions, and I'm like, Liz, stop. Just enjoy it. Go through life. You're human. You don't have to be a case study for yourself. So there is definitely some of that going on as well, but work in progress.
Okay.
Work in progress.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Looks like, I think he's still trying to formulate his question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, because he took a while.
Just
Normally
ask
he chimes in. He'd be like, bam.
Hey, Keith, she's not scared. So
I'm not.
She says she's ready for what you got.
Whatever you're going to ask, I've heard worse.
So, okay, so that's a very good question, because I'm sure you've heard the gambit in regards to like questions from varying individuals. So how do you, I guess, in your profession, how do you remain, I guess, unbiased, like kind of just sit in the gap and allow that person to express or speak without, because a lot of times people are so scared to talk about sex, they think, well, if I say something a certain way, like call me a freak or something, or just they downgrade themselves, when really it may not even be that. It may just be, that's them. and they don't want to be critiqued or held in shame. So how do you in your profession handle that to ensure that person has that level of comfort?
That's a great question, yeah. That was definitely, those skills, I like to think I have a mix of natural skills in that realm, and I also learned a lot of that in my master's program. A lot of my my teachings was not just about sex and sexuality, but how do you make a room feel comfortable? If you're teaching to a whole room full of people, how do you make one person feel comfortable? How do you make them feel heard? I do a lot of validating, so like that's a great question. You know, if somebody comes and asks me about an issue they've been having, I say a lot of times, you know, that's very normal. Like, I don't want anybody to feel like what they're going through it alone. I don't want anybody to feel like I don't want to be bothered by that question, or like that question is beneath me, or they asked it in wrong terminology. It's a weird topic. It's a really unique topic. It's very personal, and I recognize that if somebody's going to open up to me that very raw part of themselves, I need to receive it with really comfortable, cushiony arms and deliver it back real nice. So I try to just be real, I try to be a good listener first and foremost.
All right. Keep the formulated his.
Man, no. I think he went back. He probably went and got the dictionary or something. Oh God, I mean, you know, we're gonna wait on him. I mean, we definitely gonna wait on him. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so Daryl, my brother, Daryl says, okay, so, oh wow, can I say this, man? Okay. Oh, man. I want to make sure I'm not put. Well, if he put it on Facebook, it's public, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no harm. All right. Okay, so I have a coworker who is always saying he can't have sex with his girlfriend unless there's another female there as well. What do you say to women who are in situations like that when there are men who won't have sex without having multiple female partners there at the same time? Whoa. Came out swinging.
Yeah, that's a
lot to unpack.
Yes.
That's a lot to unpack.
That's a lot.
Okay.
So the question is, what would I say? What advice would I have for the women in that scenario? That was the question.
Yeah.
So, well, my first question would be, are you comfortable with it? Is this consensual? Or, you know, is this a deal breaker? If you're not comfortable with it, are you feeling pressured into it? Not to put the coworker in bad terms. I don't want to speak illy of him. I'm just, I would, if I was speaking with just the woman, this is what how I would navigate the conversation. Let's say she's cool with it, everything's great, then rock on. I mean, if that's how your sex life goes, who's to say that that's wrong? Who's to say that it should or should not be like that? As long as everything is consensual, I mean, it's okay what happens behind closed doors. Yeah, that's a tough one because it's so specific.
Very interesting situation you threw out there, Daryl. Appreciate you sharing.
Yeah.
Very much so. I'm trying to see if anybody else, because I think he opened the door. Okay, so there's still, I see little dots and stuff. Okay.
Type away.
Type away. I'm like this, right? They're warming up. So I saw that basically you do, and I think you mentioned it as well, you do group.
Yes. So I'm a freelance sexuality educator. I don't work for a school or anything like that, just freelance work. People ask me, what does that look like day to day? I can't tell you. I don't even know what tomorrow's gonna look like. I mainly do entertaining sex ed workshops. My main focus is going to be with the female sexuality and orgasms realm. That's just what I focused on in school. I can relate to it. That's where my heart lies. So, you know, bachelorette parties, birthday bashes, ladies' night in. A lot of times they will hire me to do a workshop, entertaining. We'll do some activities and whatnot. Or I can do one-on-one consultations. I can do it. I wear many hats. I write an advice column.
What's the name of the advice column?
It's Ask Liz in Charlotte 5.
Check it out.
You can just email me at lovelizsexology.com. At gmail.com. Lovelizsexology@gmail.com. Email me questions. I will keep you anonymous and then make sure that it's okay with you to put in the column, and I will answer your question for you. So, yeah.
Well, are they still typing? And you touched on this briefly, more so catering to the females. What are some of the biggest, what's one of the biggest issues that women have as far as their partners or concerns?
Okay. Let me think here.
Okay. Take your time.
One of the biggest issues that women come to me, like I said, aside from the, is this normal, X, Y, anything, everybody wants to know if it's normal. Everything is normal, but if it's painful, see your doctor. That's what I'll say to that. Everything's normal. If it's normal for you, it's normal. Women come to me a lot of times about their orgasms and ability to reach climax with themselves and with their partners. A lot of women are able to get there during masturbation, during the solo sex, but when they're in front of their partner, there's kind of a, not a disconnect, but like stage fright, and she can't get there with her partner. This is so common, and kind of, we were mentioning earlier, society has a lot to do with that, telling her all these messages, you know, like, you should be able to come with just vaginal penetration. You should be able to come before he comes, because once he does, sex is over. You know, there's just all these messages that women receive about how they should be performing and what they should be performing, when and where during sex. Men too, but I think women internalize that a little bit more and take more emotion, and I don't know, we harp on that a little bit more.
An interesting factoid right there.
Because I was thinking of that old misnomer, you know, that, you know, size matters, and so much emphasis on that and such, and that kind of falls back on the men. And we have performance issues, and like, you know, but I'm glad to hear that. So it's an even playing field, so to speak. Both sides have issues. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Everybody's gonna have their hang-ups with it. I like it. If you don't, tell me your secret.
Please share.
Melissa Bartlett.
Hey, Melissa.
What's going on? How are you? Welcome to At the Round Table with AB and CD. Figure that out. With our professional sexologist. Ask Liz. She's here.
Yes.
Ask her.
I mean, you know, some people are kind of scared to ask right now. And I mean, she's got a wealth of knowledge, and Adrian's been hitting her with the questions and stuff. And I mean, it's just been like this. So I know someone out there has a question. And when this thread ends,
can't ask then.
You can't ask then. You got to go back and watch this again, and hopefully the answer is there for you.
Yes.
Ooh. Hello, brothers. Okay, so Melissa, do you have a question about sex? I'm putting you out there just like that. You know me.
If there's anybody that can handle it, it's Melissa.
It's Melissa. Yeah, she can do it. She can do it.
Or relationships.
Yes.
Or relationships.
Or, you know.
Okay. So let me ask you this while we're still waiting. And you kind of touched on it. So does size matter?
No. I mean, short answer, no.
Really?
I said short answer. Short answer, no. So there's some anatomy involved with this answer. So let me bore you with some biology.
By all means.
When a woman is turned on, fully turned on, which takes about 20 minutes. So partners of women takes about 20 minutes for her to be prepared. So when she's fully turned on, I'll try to explain it too so that the listeners and not viewers can see this, but so I'm using a visual aid here, but when she is turned on, her uterus will tent, so it will like stand up. And that will, if you think of the vaginal canal like a hose, when it's bent over in its like natural resting position, it's kind of like a kink in the hose. So it'll like squeeze the top of the vaginal canal, not totally shut, but it'll block anything from entering further. But when she's turned on, it will tent, and there will be more room for things. So, but it is a cul-de-sac. You're going to reach a dead end. So on the larger end of things, a body can only handle so much. The cul-de-sac can only go so far. So that's that end of things. Okay, yeah, if too big can be just too big. Smaller end of things, all right, what is the national average here? I'm going off memory. Between I think it's 5.5-ish, 5 inches.
Can we round up?
5.5, 6.
Okay.
I don't remember. But that said, a condom. If you think about a condom, and you leave some extra room for the tip, for like the air, you leave the tip empty. A condom is just to use another visual aid, is like a good size that matches the average woman's size of her vaginal canal. Does size matter? See, I don't want to put words into anybody's mouth. Some women prefer one thing, some women prefer others. Well, I could throw the question back to men and say, does breast size matter?
Interesting.
You have your preference.
Yes.
Or you have no preference, you just like, a good pair. Or, it's just, does the person attached to the genital in question tickle your fancy? Can they work with what they got? Can they satisfy you beyond their appendages?
Yeah,
very good.
Stumbled across that one.
Yes, very good.
So, Shantae, thank you for joining us at the Roundtable. Priscilla, thank you for joining us at the Roundtable. That was very good.
Yeah, that was
professional.
That was. I learned something.
Yeah, really, because the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
The cul-de-sac.
Standing up.
Yeah.
Those are good terms.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Priscilla says hello. Priscilla, do you have any questions for Liz? Liz is here to answer questions and create dialogue in regards to sex. A lot of times we don't want to talk about it. We think it's taboo. We dance around the issue. We have our own assumptions. And she's here to answer that and much more, as well as relationships, like she said. So ask away, guys.
No question is too small or too big. I get them all.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Right.
Yes.
Indeed. I like this.
Yes.
This is very, very, very eye-opening.
Yeah.
So, question in regards to, talking about sex, education of sex, you kind of mentioned it earlier when we first started, but in regards to our youth today, because again, we're flooded with images of sex, like you said, from hamburgers to motor parts to
you name it.
Just whatever it is, you got to throw something in there of sex. Sex is the key. I see, sex is the way to go.
Sex sells.
It does. So what about our youth? Because, coming up, when we were coming up, it was like, You know, we had a sex ed class. You know, you go to sex ed class and you used to be the little snickers in the back and laughing or whatever the sort. And, you know, and then you like, that ain't sex. And then you go learn from your friends and stuff. But now you don't have to learn from your friends. So you just Google it. Yeah. See something. That's right. Learn something. You know, hey, I throw it out there. Our presidents are just running rampant. From the dress to the grab B. I mean, it's just all over the place. So what do we do about our young people?
Oh my gosh. Well, that is a huge question. It's such an important topic. The kids are the future, and we got to bring them, especially, I've got a million things running through my mind. What do we do about it? We got to up our education. We got to change the policies in school. Go vote in the primaries, vote in all the elections. It's just all of them. Midterm, I mean, we got to change the policies in schools. We have to empower and teach parents how to talk to their kids. A lot of parents avoid the question or dance around it or make up names like PP for, you know, a penis. Or I've heard so many names for all different kinds of things. And even that is important because your kid needs to know if something hurts down there, where exactly does it hurt? They need to be able to tell a doctor what exactly hurts. And then moving forward, I mean, as they age, there's puberty. We have a lot of puberty education. All right, we talk about puberty all the time in schools. We get it. Great, awesome. I would still tweak some things about that, but we don't teach our kids about sex, about pleasure. And I'm not saying we need to go in and be like, kids, sex feels so good. I cannot wait for you to try it. This is the best thing in the world. It will blow your mind. No. I mean, like, talking about it as if you know kids are going to do it someday. But don't shame them for having that curiosity and just like be real with them. They're gonna ask questions. You don't have to go into a whole big explanation and open a big can of worms. It may lead to that. Kids have question after question. But if you just answer the question that's being asked and you don't give a lot of extra detail, a lot of times they're just satisfied and they're like, huh, cool. I'm gonna go play. Bam. And parents shy away from it because it is scary. Because you don't want to expose your child or have them grow up too soon.
That's true.
But you know, a lot of countries, like Sweden, has an amazing sexuality education program. And they start talking to their kids about sex in like kindergarten. And they are comprehensive, meaning they talk about the pleasure side of things too, not just the scare tactic of if you have sex, you'll get an STI and die. You know, they talk about the pleasure side of things. They talk about communicating with your partner, and because that will help your relationship and please your partner, which will please you, and all that stuff. And they have not seen any ill effects, right? Their teen unwanted pregnancy and STI rate is actually really low. Wow. Much lower than ours. So we're afraid of it. We're afraid to talk to them about it for the ill effects, but it won't be that way.
Something to think about.
Definitely. Charlie Toods, thank you for joining us, sis. And I want to give a shout out to Charlie because Charlie is in that realm as well. She how to say it? Let me make sure I'm saying it correctly. Pleasure devices.
Yes.
I'll say it like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know that's something in which you know she's very open in regards to people understanding their purpose and reason why and dialogue. So she thanked her for joining us tonight. She said I missed y'all in the earlier part. Priscilla just said actually she had no questions. She said, but being married for almost 30 years, we have tried almost everything laugh out loud. I think the most important thing is for us to be open with your partner on your likes and your dislikes. Charlie says she hates that pet peeve. She said you should use proper terms, not really.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Daryl, is it good or bad for couples to engage in sex with other couples, i.e., swapping partners, and then you and your partner go back home and to be intimate with each other? What's the dangers, if any, concerning this?
Swinging. All right.
Yes.
Is it good or bad? That totally depends on you as a couple. I can't answer that for you.
Right.
I think if you want to enter into that world as a couple, you need to be in a good place. Don't have it be an answer to an issue that's going on with you. I know a lot of couples try things like that when maybe they're, I don't know, not on the same page about something, or somebody's dissatisfied in the bedroom, so they think, well, maybe this will help. I would advise against that. Do it when you are on top, when you're feeling like you are a power couple, and then introduce it, because you got to be solid with each other before you put a potential crack in your foundation.
Good question, Daryl.
Yeah.
Okay, good question.
There was a second part to that question. It was,
he said, and then you and your partner go back home and be intimate. He was just concerned with the dangers of it. So,
well, the obvious dangers I think of are STIs, and boundaries. You got to set your boundaries. You got to be totally in communication with not only your own partner, but your secondary partner, the couple you're swapping with or whatever. You got to have communication about your boundaries, and get tested. Don't be afraid to go get tested. Make it a thing. Go get coffee and get tested all together. I don't know. If that's not your jam, whatever. But that would be my biggest concern, is that everybody's on the same page about boundaries, that my foundation with my partner is solid, and that theirs is too, because you don't want to throw the wrench in their relationship and then have that guilt on your shoulders. And yeah, just making sure everybody's safe. Use your condoms, use your dental dams, all that.
All right.
Wow. So Priscilla just said so true in regards to our youth. She said you can't bury your head in the sand about what your child knows.
Yes.
So she definitely is in regards to communicating with them. Charlie just said must have boundaries and communication when you swim.
Yes.
She said, I want to keep married people and marry single people safe and educate everyone on sexual health. It's not a bad word.
Good one.
Oh boy, I'm telling you, man, it's starting to warm up and we got to get ready to leave. Man, see, that's how y'all do. Just start off cold and then get hot afterwards. It's kind of like, my bad.
Good one, man. Good one.
Yeah. But yeah, so A-Money, I know you got a question. I can see it in your eyes. Right before we get ready, it's about that time, but I know you got a question which is going to be very good.
Yeah, you putting me on the spot.
I'm sorry. You always come prepared. I'm just a guy behind the boards.
Okay. Is it a danger in being a sex addict?
Sex addiction is not really a thing.
Oh, really?
What?
And I'm gonna. All right. That's my initial response to that question. My fellow sexologists and I also, a lot of us, so there's some controversy in that. There's a lot of studies going on around it, but of course in this field you don't get the best studies because we don't have funding for them, or volunteers or honest answers from a lot of people. But this is another one where I need to tread lightly. Sex addiction, a lot of sexologists don't want to say that there is such thing because it's kind of a libido thing. It's not necessarily bad for your health. It can cause negative problems. But then are you really addicted to the sex, or are you addicted to something else that the sex is giving you. Ooh, this is a hard one. It's not my that's not my focus. So that's a harder question for me to answer, but
I got you.
sex addiction is kind of a controversial topic in the sexology world a little bit, but there have been a lot of, if I'm not mistaken, it either has or there's been discussion to take it out of the DSM, dubbing it a mental disorder. So it would be taken out of the mental disorder category, but I can't remember if it has or has been discussed too. Yeah, that's a tough one. Because I don't want to discredit couples who have had issues there.
But okay, that's good because Melissa just slammed us with a nice question. Someone just told me as well. She asked, and we'll close out on it. Liz, what to do to increase male libido?
Male libido.
Good question.
Right.
Good question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What to do to increase male libido? Kind of going off of an earlier thing I said, you got to look at your outside world, your extraneous, what's going on externally outside of sex. So are you stressed out with work? Are you stressed out with something else? Do you have something else on your mind? Is there a medication you're taking? That's so many medications hinder your libido. You know, diet can, definitely. What you can do to help, what anybody can do to help increase their libido is exercise, pump some iron. I mean, anything to do to get your testosterone up. Testosterone is the driving force behind libido.
Okay.
Men and women both have testosterone, and men is just more prevalent, which is why typically they have a higher libido than women. But anything to, I mean, getting your cardio really well oiled. You, ironically, masturbating or getting off, having an orgasm raises your libido as well. It raises your natural testosterone over time, especially in women. Women, if you're having issues with your libido and you want to raise it, just take some time for yourself.
Interesting.
Multiple times, it will raise over time. But yeah, you can take testosterone supplements and whatnot, but just like with a lot of other vitamins, if you're not eating the good food that has the natural nutrients in the vitamin to help carry it into your bloodstream, if you're not doing anything to help your testosterone and you're just taking testosterone supplements, it might not be as effective as it could be. So, you know, work out, spend some time with yourself. Yeah. Relax your mind too. Meditate. Relax your mind. Orgasm is it's a mental thing.
So take time out for yourself.
Take time out.
Maybe communication as far as addressing any things that are stressing you out.
Yes.
And diet.
Diet, exercise.
Okay.
All the things that will naturally increase your libido or increase your testosterone will help increase your libido.
That's good information. Very good. Good question, Melissa.
Very good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you get good thumbs up, Melissa.
All day long. All day long.
We appreciate it. Well, guys, we have come to that time again. Shouts out to oh, wait a minute, one more question.
Y'all better get it in.
She said great info. All right.
You.
Florence, thank you for joining us. You know, we're getting ready to jet out, so I need you to go back and watch this. This is a very informative podcast, okay? And it's a plethora of answers that I know you got a bunch of questions on. Keith just said, finally, someone that openly says it's okay to please yourself. I applaud you, Doc. We applaud Liz as well because she came on here with the plethora. That's my word for today. Plethora of answers to all your questions and such. Oh, we got one more comment.
Go ahead.
Oh, Charlie. She said, get you a pure romance consultant. Partywithcharlie.com. I like that plug. Thank you. Release those endorphins, she said.
Absolutely.
All right. They do this all the time.
Right at the end.
Right at the end.
It's just like, you know, but
You want to get notified?
No,
good. Okay.
she said. Oh, Charlie said she's definitely getting ready to recap this.
Okay.
So she's going back to watch this.
Good.
Well, we gotta let her.
Please do.
She gotta share. People are hot right now.
Mm-hmm. So I know.
And, yeah, you gotta tell them how they can get in contact with you.
Oh,
Yes.
sure, absolutely. My website is lovelizsexology.com. LOVELIZ sexology.com. You can email me at, it's lovelizsexology@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to get you in touch with resources and refer you out to somebody. I have a Facebook page. You can like me there. I'm working on Twitter. I'm a little not Twitter savvy, but I'm getting there. So stay tuned for the other social media outlets that I will for sure get my fingers on as soon as I figure it out. Yeah, absolutely.
And your blog?
My sex advice column.
Sex advice column.
Ask Liz. It is in the Charlotte 5 paper, but it's online. So it's e-magazine. I'm still getting that lingo down. I'm used to like a handheld paper, and it's all online. So yes, Ask Liz. You basically just email me your questions, and I can answer them anonymously and post it with your permission in my column. And yeah, happy to help out. Whatever you need, just talk to me. We'll start a conversation.
Perfect. Check her out.
Check her out.
Yes,
Melissa said, get to know that cul-de-sac.
Thank
you, Melissa.
Yeah.
Knew you would do it. Man, this has been cool.
Yeah, it has been
cool. Now everybody's like just like blip, blip, blip. You know, it's like
we want to talk about it.
And that's the cool part, because I know that it can be uncomfortable, but you made it real easy to actually ask those questions and share information and have an open dialogue with that. So we definitely appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us today.
Absolutely. That's my goal. So happy I could help create that environment.
Definitely, because you got people going to your website now. I just said it. It's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
Another one in the books, y'all.
Yes.
This is what we do. It's the People's Podcast.
That's right.
At the Roundtable. Shouts out to, again, Tika Rose. Shouts out to Letice Howley and what she's doing right now with her play. Definitely want to thank Liz once again for joining us today. Stay tuned, because, again, you get to go back and watch this, and then we're going to have an article on her very soon. And I guess that's it, bro.
All right. Another one in the books.
Another one in the books.
Yes.
So, it's my boy, A-Money.
See you next time.
At the Roundtable, y'all. Y'all be good.
Bye.